Ever ask yourself, what's going on with the media? What's going on with the so-called Democratic Party? Why is everybody, including Islam, all fighting against Donald Trump, the 45th president-to-be of the United States as of January 20th, 2017? Why the pushback against Trump's presidency? Well, I'm seeing the Democrats and some Republicans pushing back against Donald Trump's presidency, and the media is getting all the reasons behind it absolutely wrong. The media tells us that the Democrats are upset because Trump won the election, and more so because Hillary lost the election. That's all false. There's some sinister stuff going on behind the scenes that you have no clue about. So we have to ask ourselves, why does Barack Obama, a progressive, tell the media that it's the Russians who hacked computers in the government? And that swayed the election toward Trump. Is that true? No. It's a smokescreen hiding his real reason. Now, I want to tell you something first. Obama is a progressive. Hillary and Bill Clinton are progressives, but they don't control they don't control the strings. They're just puppets or pawns in this scheme of progressives and the collusion between progressives and Islam. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. Now, I wrote a new book, as many of you already know, called Trump Won, Now the Aftermath. It's available on Amazon.com, of course, for only $9.95. But I digress. In that book, though, I spell out the entire agenda that the progressives and Islam both have toward thwarting Trump's entry into the White House. And once he enters the White House January 20th, 2017, they are going to do everything they can to pour gasoline on everything he does or anything he says and torch it. There's a reason behind that. So I plan to enlighten you here in this video about all of that, what the progressives and Islam are both attempting to do. There's a thing called fake news. Well, a lot of that fake news is presented already by the media. Stories that they are circulating. First, let me get some headlines for you that the progressives are throwing at the media daily. It's in their effort, of course, to do everything in their concerted power to stop Trump. Stop Trump from tweeting. That's a media headline story, as most of you already know. They want to stop Trump from tweeting. The media and the progressives are doing everything in their power to stop Trump from using Twitter to get his message out to the public. Why? Saturday Night Live with Alec Baldwin, for example, they made fun of Trump and his tweets. See, it's to get us indoctrinated into the fact that, oh, Trump is tweeting. Oh, we got to stop Trump from tweeting. So Saturday Night Live makes fun of him. The media makes fun of Trump because he misspelled the word unprecedented. He spelled it UNPRESIDENTED instead of the correct way, which is UNPRECEDENT. Well, it could have been a typo. It could have been like we do on our cell phones, a typo error. Or he could have just spelled it out that way. I don't know, but the media, they spent a day, actually more than a day, belittling Trump about making a spelling error on his tweets. The media shouts loudly, Trump didn't invite Twitter's CEO to his Trump Tower Tech Summit. They said that because it's their way, the progressives and the media, it's their attempt to have the CEO of Twitter kick Trump off Twitter. Why? You have to understand the agenda of the progressives to figure all of this out. And once you get what their agenda was and still is, you are going to begin to understand all that is happening and will continue to happen throughout Trump's presidency. If the progressives and their media henchmen can stop Trump from using the only media outlet that he has to get his message or his agenda out to you and me, the public, then they think that they can control the minds of you and me, the public. See, they can't now because Trump is in control. He's controlling the media by using his Twitter account. So let me review what a progressive is in short form. I explain all that they are up to in my book that's available at Amazon.com. But let me simply say this. Most of you believe that liberal left-wing Democrats are progressives. No, they're not. Progressives are people in high places of power with untold amounts of wealth, and they have an agenda. They want to control you. They want complete control over you, and they want to take your freedoms away from you and my freedoms away from me. They control their pawns like Obama or the Clintons or Henry Kissinger, whoever they want to use. They, the absolute progressives of the world, these powerful people, are in government, they're in banking, they're everywhere. But their pawns are always in government, because in government you control the agenda. You control the so-called power of any country. Progressives have hijacked the Democratic Party the same way as jihadists and terrorists have hijacked the Islamic faith. In fact, if Hillary Clinton had won the election, part of the progressives' agenda was to actually bring Islamic Sharia law into the USA as they are doing in Europe. Why? Progressives hate Christianity. They hate God, and they pretend that Christians and Jews are, fine people, but they pretend not to be courting Islam, but all of that is just nothing more than smoke and mirrors. You want proof that the progressives hate Christianity? Their mouthpiece is the New York Times. And here's a recent article from the New York Times. Its reporter was Liam Stack. And he took an objective Pew Research Center study about religion and educational attainment around the world and warped it into a story summarized by this mocking headline under his story that happened about a week or so ago. Here's the headline. Christians in the U.S. are less educated than religious minorities. Less educated, the report said. And a principal at an elementary school in Pennsylvania has canceled its production of A Christmas Carol due to complaints about one line that was said during the play. And concerns about it taking too much time out of the classroom instruction was their method. But it used the word Christ in the line, and they took that out and they canceled the play. That's a progressive high school principal, and they're loaded with teachers and professors in colleges, these progressives. So why have progressives slowly been sabotaging Christmas? You know it and I know. It's been happening for 20 years. Because it's their attempt to do away with the ability for Christians to share their belief with others. They have successfully done away with stores, public schools, colleges, politicians, and other people using the term Merry Christmas. And they have replaced it with this. Happy holidays. Am I right? You know I'm right. Happy holidays. Well, Christmas is a Christian holiday. And it overwhelms the progressives' agenda to strip that freedom, as they have already done for the last 20 years, as you know. Trump is bringing it all back, and they, the progressives, have lost that battle too. On the other hand, progressives are in love with Muslims and Islam. I think you're sensing that by the news stories that you see on TV or read in the papers today, although not many are reading newspapers anymore. Good. I hope they all go out of business. Progressives desire to bring Sharia law into our court systems and those around the world. The state of Minnesota is the Muslim test city to bring Sharia law to the United States. Here's a headline for you. Fox hosts Somali Muslim community in Minnesota, considered by some as ground zero for ISIS recruitment in the United States. Muslims now pushed for Sharia law in Minnesota and Alabama and Texas. To prevent this possibility, by the way, many state governments are enacting laws that say no to Sharia law. But if Hillary won the presidency, which also means control over the Supreme Court, we would have Sharia law in our court systems. Sharia law, in case you didn't know it, Google it sometime. But it punishes Christians and Jews for anything pertaining to worshiping God or any God other than Allah. Is that what you want? Because you almost had it if Hillary had won and the progressives had won the White House. Liberals say they paint Trump as Hitler. They say that Hitler was a right-wing conservative. Well, Hitler really was a liberal socialist. And that's not what he said. What he said was, and I'll post it right here now, the picture of Hitler and exactly what he said for you. All right, let me get to my point. What do progressives want? One, world dominance over the population. Two, they want to put progressives in powerful positions within governments around the world, including the USA. Number three, they want to appoint Supreme Court judges in the USA and in the world court systems. Four, they want to create a crisis. When a crisis, say a worldwide food shortage or a nuclear war between Israel and Iran occurs, and it's planned by them, by the way, then the people come to their governments for solutions. And they're willing to give up their freedoms to get the solution and the relief. Number five, progressives want to break the economies of their countries, like Greece already did. And Europe almost did. That's what caused the Brexit, Britain exiting from the euro, where the population rebelled against their attempts. Google the words Cloward and Priven just for kicks and giggles. If you do that, you'll see what the Cloward and Priven strategy is. And it is, in a nutshell, this: to break an economy by overwhelming the welfare system, putting countries into uncontrollable and unsustainable debt, like the $20 trillion in the United States. Number six, and let me just pause right here for just a moment. Number six is important. This is something that the progressives really want to accomplish, and that is remove anything to do with God or the Bible or the Jewish Torah. And they want to ridicule Christians or the rich Jews who own everything. That's what they say. That's how they ridicule Jews too. And the reason for that is to remove ethics and morality based on the Ten Commandments. Number seven, they want to establish a global world view, intending to unite with fellow progressives for world dominance, which happens to be biblical prophecy, by the way. This means they brainwash college kids with mush minds that they can train, not to hold on to their biblical values that were taught to them by their parents, and to brainwash them that the only true government is socialism. Part of that is to convince everyone that globalization is the right mindset and that sovereignty of a nation is no longer in vogue. This is why they demean the national anthem, using pawns like Colin Kaepernick, or having college kids burn the American flag. They have reached and achieved those goals, by the way, and they wanted to expand those teachings further and could have had Hillary won the White House. But they were shocked when Donald Trump came from nowhere, basically, to become the 45th president of the United States. The media was shocked. They told us all that Hillary was a shoo-in, that she was the next president, that Trump had no path to 270 electoral votes. Number 8, progressives ultimately were heading toward allowing Sharia law to become the dominant world court system because Islam hates Christianity and Jews, and their laws would punish anyone who did not conform to their form of worship. Progressives would have had complete control if Hillary, their latest pawn, won the election, but she didn't. God had a little bit to say about all this. He is the one who wants leadership positions, and he forms governments. You say, John, you're out of your mind. I don't believe a thing that you're saying about God was in the election. Well, if you turn in your Bible to Daniel 2:21, you'll read this. It says, God changes times and seasons. He removes kings. Translate that into presidents. He removes kings or presidents, and he puts who he wants into leadership positions because God has a plan for civilization, and nobody can thwart God's plans. The bad news, unfortunately, is that God's plan calls for what is known as the end times, where he brings judgment to the earth, and that will start when you see Israel begin to build their holy temple on the very top of Mount Zion in Jerusalem. And for the rest of that prophecy, you're going to have to buy my book. So who are the leaders of this progressive movement? The people in the world, there's only about 150 of these people who control all of the money and gold, are the progressives, the Bilderberg Group. Look it up. Google it. I don't make this stuff up. They are those people. The Bilderberg Group and Bilderberg Conference and Bilderberg Meetings or Bilderberg Club is an annual private conference of between 120 and 150 people of the European and North American political elite. Underline that word elite. Experts from industry, finance, academia, and the media established the Bilderberg Group in 1954. You might go back in your history to discover that after 1954, say in 1963, they, the progressives, used Madalyn Murray O'Hair to file suit in the Supreme Court, and that law eliminated teaching biblical principles, ethics, morality in public schools. But of course you already know that. And after that, as you already know, the world has been going to hell in a handbasket. Now this group of 150 people of European and North American countries are called the political elite. You've heard the word elites, but the word elite doesn't mean what you think it means. It does not mean that the elites are just rich people. Let me wrap this up by telling you that elites are powerful and enormous people with enormous amounts of wealth, and they control a lot of the gold. They want to control the population of the world. Here's a description out of Merriam-Webster's dictionary about elite. Started in the 18th century French word, elite. It's a term that originates from Latin elegere, to choose or elect. In political and sociological theory, for a small group of powerful people that controls a disproportionate amount of wealth, privilege, or political power in a society. That's what an elite is. They have the combined mental position that they already control the power and the wealth, so they are missing one piece of their puzzle, and that is complete control over you and me and the rest of the people of the world. Consider the evil mind of Adolf Hitler, for example. He was not an elite, really, but he thought he was. But his goal was the same as elites, to control the population of the planet. And he almost got away with it, as you remember. He almost got away with it. So with the election of Donald Trump, who really needs to be careful, because these people are vengeful, The progressives will just not go away. The progressives will fight to get their agenda of world dominance back, which is why you're seeing firsthand their tactics of rioting, protests, media disparaging of anything Trump says or does. They attempted to threaten the electors to change their vote to Hillary to prevent Trump from gaining the White House, with no ties to any of these elites. They will continue to disrupt and try to control Congress and cause mayhem. They will keep causing racism, bigotry, which is really separation of peoples into little boxes, which they've been very successful in doing. As you know, they put all of us into little boxes. There are white people, white educated men, blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, and that's what they do. They do that to divide us, to separate us, and keep us from becoming one America, which is what Trump, see, he figured it out. He knows what they're up to. But Donald Trump is in the White House now because millions of Christians and Jews prayed about this election. I've developed a website now where you can support President Trump. It's called www.supportpresidenttrump.com. Or you can join me on my Facebook page at www.facebook.com/BigMouthPaul. That's BigMouthPol. If you're a Twitter fan, you can join me at Twitter. Just go to twitter.com/BigMouthPaul. Finally, if you wish to invest only $9.95, go to johntyler.com. That's my main website. And just click on the Amazon portal and type in Trump won, now the aftermath. And they will sell you the new book. So with that, I leave you with all those things to think about. And I'm kind of hoping that you will get to know now what progressives are all about, how they want to tie themselves into Islam to run the court systems, because progressives hate you. They hate Jews, they hate Christians, they hate anything to do with God. They say they don't, but they lie. Remember, at the DNC, Democratic National Convention, they didn't even have American flags up until Trump brought it up. He says, what do they got? A little couple of tiny flags up. Then the next time that they met, you saw, millions of flags around, because they're phony. They will lie to your face to accomplish their goals. And you realize that, and I've read it, I've read the book that Osama bin Laden put out, the Manual to Islam, and in there it says, whatever you have to do, it's okay. You can lie to people, and it's okay according to their book, the Quran. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned something from it, and I'll see you guys next time when I bring you some other kind of a message. Thanks a lot. I'll see you later.